Good morning you guys, it's Karen and I'm a little bit conflicted about today's video because I really don't want it to come across as being mean in any way, and it's certainly not meant that way, but I was told by two people about a video that has been created by a lovely guy on YouTube about hyaluronic acid with the same title as this, Does Hyaluronic Acid Cause Cancer? And so I was really interested. Somebody sent me a message on Instagram and sent me a link to the video, and somebody highlighted it to me on YouTube. And so I watched through his video and I had never heard of him before. Unfortunately, I can't do this without it being obvious who it is, and hopefully he won't be offended. So I watched Jay's video and he talks about a statement from Dr. lOnm Picard, who I can't find much information about, to be honest, and I find his statements a bit bizarre, but he then refers to a lot of research, and I was surprised at Jay's conclusions and some of the things that he was saying and some of the things that he was referencing that Dr. lOnm Picard had said. So I decided to have a look into the research myself. Jay is, I believe, has started his YouTube channel because he was often told that he looked a lot younger than his years, and has an interest in skincare and hence started his YouTube channel. I'm not an oncologist, obviously. I don't have qualifications in cancer. I did a module specifically in cancer when I was doing my HND, when I was working in the hospital, but my background is in medical research. So I worked for 10 years in medical research, and my job was to look at research and decide whether it was scientifically sound, had it passed all of the regulations of governance, of ethics, that kind of thing. So it's really interesting to me to look at this, and I thought there may be some things I can add and that you can maybe weigh up against all of the things that you've heard. So I'm going to go through his video and some of the things he said, and then I'm going to tell you, do I think there is any basis at all in this? Does hyaluronic acid cause cancer? Okay, so the first thing he's talking about is Google. So let me play this.
Get to the bottom of this. So if you go to Google and you enter, is hyaluronic acid safe? You get pages and pages of articles and studies saying yes. However, if you go to Google and you enter, does hyaluronic acid cause cancer? You get pages and pages of articles and studies saying yes, it does.
No, okay, firstly, that is absolutely not true. If you go to Google, let's go to Google and have a look, and you put, you know, he's right. If you go and you put, is hyaluronic acid safe, you get pages and pages of articles. If you put in, does hyaluronic acid cause cancer, you get pages and pages of articles. Whatever question you put into Google, you'll get pages and pages of articles. You do not get pages and pages of articles telling you that hyaluronic acid causes cancer. You absolutely do not. So let's go to Google and put, does hyaluronic acid cause cancer? Excuse me, I need to put my glasses on for this. So let's have a look at the first page. Now the first page, the very first result is about how pancreatic cells feed off hyaluronic acid. This is not talking about hyaluronic acid that you put on your skin. This is talking about hyaluronic acid that is produced within a tumour environment from the body itself, not an external source. But this is the very study that is causing some articles to come out. So that first study is talking about that. The next one says hyaluronic acid, are the benefits worth the risk? This one simply asks the question, is there any risk of cancer? And it says no, there's no evidence to suggest there is. So this is not saying that it causes cancer. Neither is the first study. The second one says that caution should be used in long-term treatment with injections for arthritis if you have a history of cancer. So again, not telling you that there is any, that it causes cancer. The next one says popular pill taken for arthritis is acting as food to cancer cells. This is referring to that very first study that we saw, so that is just a duplicate. The next one is talking about how hyaluronic acid predicts poor prognosis in breast cancer patients. This is talking about they test the body levels of hyaluronic acid in women with breast cancer and see what that is as a predictor. It's nothing to do with what you've put on your face. It's talking about how what's produced in your body predicts how well you're going to respond to chemotherapy. So it's not saying that it's caused anything at all. There is one there with a title of hyaluronic acid increases cancer. That's the only kind of one that suggests that hyaluronic acid causes cancer, and that's by that Dr. Lauren Picard. But it's such a blanket statement. There is another article that talks about how it says if you research this topic on your own without little background knowledge, you are more likely to reach a wrong conclusion. So the first page in the Google results talks about some of the connections between the hyaluronic acid in your body and cancer, but it certainly does not tell you that hyaluronic acid causes cancer. And then from the second page onwards, it's talking about the benefits of cancer and how how it can be used as a therapy for cancer and a treatment for cancer. So there are definitely not pages and pages or studies showing that it does cause cancer. There's none, in fact. The first page talks about how your body has hyaluronic acid and how it's related to cancer, but it does not have anything showing that it causes cancer. So that part is not right. He does talk about how he said he came across that it's not safe. Hyaluronic acid topical, specifically, he was talking about, is not safe for pregnant and breastfeeding women. I have never found anything. I tried to find that. I can't find what he's talking about. The only thing I found was that injectable hyaluronic acid wouldn't be necessarily used in pregnant and breastfeeding women, but I can't find anything about topical application. I can only find references to how safe it is for pregnant and breastfeeding women. So I don't know where he got that from. I think the whole thing with this is that because he's seen hyaluronic acid, and I think this is a conclusion that had I not worked in research, I would have come to myself, and many people would have, is that you read hyaluronic acid and we automatically think of skincare and of hyaluronic acid as a serum. We don't think about the medical hyaluronic acid that is produced within our bodies and within tumours. He then refers to...
there is conflicting...
He then talks about how there's conflicting information on Google, but there's conflicting information on Google on everything. If you put into Google, is water safe, you'll get, obviously, lots of information. If you put in, is water dangerous, you will get some information that tells you it's dangerous to drink water. So you can find whatever information you want on Google, really. He then goes on to talk about, to quote Dr. Lauren Picard, who's talked about articles on Pubmed. Now Pubmed is where research is published. So let's see what he says about that.
If you put in hyaluronic acid cancer in Pubmed, that's a website that publishes all these studies, over 4,015 articles are referenced.
So let's go to Pubmed and put in hyaluronic acid cancer. That's what he said, wasn't it? There's actually more than that. I've had a look. I've taken off any. I did used to have randomized controlled trials ticked on here. Hyaluronic acid cancer brings up over 5,000 results. However, if you have a look at the results that it brings up, the first one is hyaluronic acid redefining its role, so nothing to do with causing cancer. Number 2, hyaluronic acid based hydrogels to study cancer cell behaviours. Again, nothing to do with it causing cancer. Number 3, hyaluronic acid targeting of CD44 for cancer therapy. Number 4, properties and application of hyaluronic acid. Number 5, hyaluronic acid based drug nanocarriers as a novel drug delivery system for cancer chemotherapy. So another way to deliver chemotherapy. This is quite a common thing, is for hyaluronic acid to be used to deliver chemotherapy. Advances in hyaluronic acid based devices for cancer therapy. Recent advantage of hyaluronic acid for anti-cancer application. So you can see that actually, yes, he's right. If you put in hyaluronic acid and cancer, there are more than 5,000 articles. But the first page shows you that they are not negative studies. They're actually all talking about how hyaluronic acid can be used in the fight against cancer in various ways. So I think the biggest misconception here is that when hyaluronic acid is being discussed in some research out there, it's they're talking about the hyaluronic acid within your body, but people are thinking it's hyaluronic acid, particularly one study that calls it more than a gel, and they're talking about a gel that's created within the body, not a hyaluronic acid gel. But it's well known, well documented and well studied that hyaluronic acid can't penetrate the top layers of the skin. But what Jay refers to here then is a study that shows evidence that it penetrates the skin. So
this first one said it was a study done on humans and mice, and it showed that hyaluronic acid penetrated into the dermis, the deepest layer of the skin, in less than 30 minutes, and it was found in the urine and the blood of mice.
Okay, this was not a human and mice study. That you don't do an animal and a human study as one study. Because they're completely different things. An animal study, it's governed differently. There's lots of reasons for that, but it is a completely different thing. This was an animal study. It was a study on mice. The reason that if you look at the abstract, which is what Jay has linked to, it tells you that it was a human study. But if you look at the full text, it tells you that there was one human in this study. What that suggests is that the person conducting the study just decided to see how it would work on themselves. So they put some on their forearm and decided to test it. That does not a study make. That has no statistical significance whatsoever. I can't prove that it was the person running the study that did that, but it makes no difference really, whether it was him or whether it was one of his colleagues or whether it was a volunteer. One person compared to mice doesn't mean anything, unfortunately. That's not something that can be considered. Can't be considered evidence. So this was a mice study, and in their own in the abstract they talk about the fact that mice skin is very much thinner than human skin, and so it's not comparable. And so a mouse that's this size, putting hyaluronic acid in it that is radioactive so that they can trace it, and saying that it does this, that and the other, is not comparable to human skin. So they need to do human studies. So that is not proof that everything else is wrong about the fact that hyaluronic acid sits on top of your skin. This is the main study that's kind of, I think, going to start having more articles written about it. And there's already one, I think, written by, was it the Daily Express, saying that, you know, a popular supplement provides food for cancer. And you could say, okay, the way they've written that, it's true. A hyaluronic acid is a supplement, and hyaluronic acid is food for certain tumours, but it makes it sound as if it's causing cancer by taking a hyaluronic acid supplement, and that has definitely, no link has been proven in any way or even found. So the study is more than a gel. Hyaluronic acid, a central component in the microenvironment of pancreatic cancer. So the study is about pancreatic cancer specifically, and why it is so hard to beat, so hard to treat. As you probably know, pancreatic cancer is one of the worst that you can get. The survival rate is terrible. You know, my aunt died of it. It's something that you get diagnosed with and then you know, normally die with very quickly. My dad's friend died of it very quickly. And what they have found is that certain cancers cause the body to overproduce hyaluronic acid. So our bodies are full of hyaluronic acid, and we produce hyaluronic acid. And when we get these certain types of tumours, something goes wrong and causes our body to overproduce hyaluronic acid. And that hyaluronic acid, in the case of this pancreatic tumour, is food for the pancreatic tumour. And so they are trying to look at ways not only to stop the body overproducing the hyaluronic acid, but to reduce the hyaluronic acid that is overproduced. So that it's not, so it doesn't, hyaluronic acid doesn't cause cancer. As you can see, it does speed it up, but it's the body's hyaluronic acid, not the type that you put on your skin. The next one says, caution should be used in long-term treatment with oral compounds of hyaluronic acid in patients with a history of cancer. So this is the only one where I would say, yes, okay, it's saying that if you have had a history of cancer, you might want to avoid having injections into your joints of hyaluronic acid, because that's quite a high dose and it's right into your body. It's systemic. It's not just sitting on your skin, and it could, in theory, make your cancer spread if you have a recurrence of it. So it looks like there is a lot to be learned about hyaluronic acid that is produced by the body. It can be a treatment, can be used as a treatment. It can be used as a drug delivery system. And the reason it can be used as a drug delivery system is because of the fact that it sits in the top layers of the skin, and it therefore can be used as a slow release, and it doesn't get into the system, it just releases the drug. But, you know, there's a lot more research needs to be done. But when you think about the amount of hyaluronic acid in, say, a supplement is 400 milligrams. What you put on your skin is less than 1 milligram normally. You know, a 10% hyaluronic acid is probably about 0.6 milligrams. And the science shows that it doesn't go any further than the top layers of your skin. Then there is no concern. And it has never been mentioned. Topical hyaluronic acid has never been mentioned in any study that I can find. I'm happy to be proven wrong if you would like to send me something, but there's nothing that I can find, because it's just not, there is no concerns about it. In fact, there is the opposite. There is a report by the International Journal of Toxicology giving it a safety report, a final data safety report. They've checked it and said that up to, sorry, I said 10% there, hyaluronic acid, I meant 2%, that up to 2% is perfectly safe. Okay, so my conclusion is different. Why is it different? Does hyaluronic acid cause cancer? No, it doesn't. Not the type that you put on your skin, not the type that you inject, and not the type that's within your body. There is no evidence, no studies that show that hyaluronic acid in any form causes cancer. There are studies that show that it can cause, the type that you make in your body can cause it to spread, and can increase the rate of the cancer, but it doesn't. There's no studies on topical cancer. There's no studies in topical hyaluronic acid. There's no studies on injectable hyaluronic acid. It is all talking about the stuff within the tumour and within the body. So yeah, I'm not concerned. As you may or may not remember, I don't use hyaluronic acid anymore, in that it never did anything for my skin. I just felt that I didn't live in a humid enough climate, and that meant that the hyaluronic acid was taking the water from my skin, and I always felt like my skin was drier. And I've recently watched a video that supports that, and by an esthetician. So she said that hyaluronic acid is just not good for your skin in the long term. It's something you can use to plump up your skin in the short term. So I'll link that video for you, because that's really, really interesting. There is hyaluronic acid in the lactic acid that I use by the ordinary, but certainly I do not consider there to be any danger at all from topical hyaluronic acid. So I really hope this was interesting to you. Hopefully you will take all of the information and make of it as you will. Please feel free to leave any questions below, and I will do my very best to answer them. This is actually the kind of video that I really enjoy, apart from the fact that I wish it didn't involve another YouTuber, you know. If it was a video done by a company, I would have been much happier. I really enjoyed all the investigating involved in this. It's made me feel like I'm back in the hospital, you know, doing the job that I was doing, and maybe I will be back there one day, who knows. Once I get on top of these migraines, it's certainly something I'll consider. I will tell you what I'm wearing makeup wise. I have got on the RCMA foundation. On my eyes is the Too Faced Natural Matte Palette. On my cheeks is a new blush by Fenty Beauty. It's called Summertime Wine. And then on my lips is a liquid lipstick by Jaclyn Hill in Outspoken. And I think that's everything. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll speak to you again soon.